Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm Michael, and we're going to be getting right back into some more Reddit stories. If you enjoy the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Now, without further ado, let's begin. This story was posted by a user named No Construction in the True Off My Chest subreddit. The post is titled, "I think I'm destroying my family and I'm not handling it well. I don't know how these things work in the subreddit. I just want to say, for obvious reasons, that I wish to keep this anonymous. Thank you. I'm a 25-year-old male with a wife of 2 years. We have a beautiful little girl whom we accidentally had when we were 18. She is 6 years old as of now, and she and my wife are everything to me. I work in a dangerous field. It pays well and was something I got into when we found out she was pregnant. I make enough money that my wife can pursue her dream of starting an online business now that our daughter is in school. My childhood best friend also joined me in this field. We were both directionless after high school, so we jumped into this together. He was my brother for life." I say was because I watched him die on the job a couple of weeks ago. A mistake was made by one of our fellow co-workers, which resulted in his death. He left behind a girlfriend and a 1-year-old little girl as well. I had to break the news to his girlfriend on my own, and it was tough. I told her I'd make sure that whatever she and the child needed, I would be there for them. I've already assisted with bills, and I've been by a few times to console her. In addition to this, I've been hitting the gym to keep my mind off things while also letting my anger and frustrations out. Because of all this, I haven't been home much lately. Last night I got back very late and my wife was up asking where I'd been and what was going on. I told her that I had just been working long hours and that I'd been stressed from work, so I had been taking drives to relax. She mentioned that my friend's girlfriend came by the house on Saturday asking where I was, so she didn't believe me. She asked, "Do we need to talk about something?" I just said, "No, everything is fine." However, she kept pestering me about why she was at our door and mentioned that something isn't adding up with you lately and I want to understand. Something went off in my head and I started raising my voice saying, "There's nothing to talk about, we're good." At that moment, our daughter came out in the middle of our back and forth saying she wet the bed. My wife looked at me and quietly but sternly said, "I don't know what's going on with you, but you need to get your act together. We need you and it feels like you've gone missing. I don't feel like I can rely on you." She took our daughter with her last night. I've been crying a lot lately and it's not something I want them to see. It's not something I want to talk about or even know how to discuss. This is the hardest thing I've had to deal with in my life so far, as I'm not a particularly emotional person. Most of my life, I had to look after myself because my dad wasn't around and my mom had her own issues that prevented her from being a great mother, but I don't blame her for it. Usually, I've been able to figure things out, but now I don't have my bro. His little family needs help too, and I just feel like everything has hit the fan. I don't even know if I've fully processed it. That's not even including the fact that I don't know if I'm losing my own family at this rate. I don't feel comfortable about so much right now, and I don't think it's fair to put that burden on anyone else either. I don't know if it's an ego thing or me trying to be the man, but truthfully, I don't even know. It feels better typing this out and posting it on the internet. It feels like at least I'm getting it out. So thanks, random internet strangers. Edit, I want to make this clear. I did reach out to my wife and asked her to come home so we can talk about what's been going on. She agreed but said that I have a lot of explaining to do, which is fair. Also, I'm thrilled that this somehow turned into accusations of me cheating with my dead friend's girlfriend. Nice job, Reddit. To the few responses that are helpful and respectful, I appreciate that. It's just that too many here are chronically online and try to spread their misery. User Pan Accolade said, "Did you tell your wife about the contributions you're making to your late friend's family? She's asking for communication. Give it to her. Explain how his death made you feel, how breaking the news to his girlfriend made you feel. Hell, tell her you've been blowing off some pressure by hitting the gym. She is your person. She's the one who vowed to be there for you. By keeping this in and trying to do everything yourself, you're preventing her from being able to support you. In the face of this tragedy, you do need support. You may have had to look after yourself before due to your parents being unable to, and you may have figured that would always be the case. But you have someone who loves you who is asking you to explain so she can help. You're not good, you're grieving, you're having a tough time. Your prolonged, unexplained absences are an issue for your wife. You are not good. Hiding that fact won't change that fact. Be vulnerable, be open. Trust in your wife who loves you that she will support you during this tough time. Please, for your sake and theirs. There is nothing to be gained by shouldering all of this alone other than resentment and miscommunication, and you're going through a tough enough time without that on top. User 2 Bionic Knees said, "You went through something terrible. The only reason you're causing issues with your wife is that you aren't talking to her. Talk to her." Another woman came to your door looking for you, and instead of explaining what is going on to your wife, you decided to keep your mouth shut. You can bottle everything up and lose everything, or you can talk to your wife, lean on her for support, because that's what a partner is for, and work through it together. Knowing why you're feeling down and why you're off driving gives her peace of mind. She might even say, "I'll get a sitter and go for a drive with you." Saying you don't think it's fair to put this on anyone else, what you're doing now is not fair. You're making her think you're cheating, and she's seeing you hurt without knowing why. It's unfair to not talk to her. User Mixed Conscious said, "I'm so sorry you are going through this. If you want your family to come through this together, you have to change something. Your wife wants to be there for you and understand. Tell her how difficult it is that your best bro is gone. That is traumatic and you're allowed to feel, cry, and be upset, but don't do it behind closed doors. She wants to be there for you. Second, I understand you want to do right by your best bro, but does your wife know about your promise? Let me ask you this. If it is between supporting your best bro's family or your own family, who would you choose? You put a lot of pressure on yourself to take care of a second family, and I know you want to do the right thing, but if you lose your family over it, would it be worth it? Unfortunately, people are handed a crappy hand in life, and it is not one's fault or responsibility, so stop adding that to yours. You and your wife can be there for your friend's wife in a friendly and emotional way and help babysit, but financially, that is dangerous. Do you plan on basically being responsible for two families now, even though it is not your fault or job to do so? If you want to keep your wife and your daughter in your life, talk to her, cry with her, and give her the chance to be there for you. Also, instead of going to the gym, go to therapy. It will make a world of difference. Your family should come first, so figure this out with your wife and then make a decision together on how to be there for your friend's wife. Again, I'm so sorry you're going through this, but you need to get help and decide what is truly best for your family if you want to stay married and keep your daughter in your life full time. Update. So after begging my wife and daughter to come home, I told her I'd lay it all out and be an open book. They got home later on Monday night and we had a late dinner. I just wanted to spend some time with them, especially my daughter, so we put her to bed a bit late. After that, my wife and I sat down and I gave her the full rundown. Initially, she felt disappointed that I had kept this from her. She said it wasn't fair to her and that I needed to be a better communicator. She didn't really care about the money, it was more about how I had kept her in the dark for so long and that I didn't need to tackle everything on my own, which I appreciated. She then asked me to really talk about it and how I was feeling about everything, trying to understand where I was at and basically consoling me. We did that for about an hour and there were a few tears, but again, I wasn't trying to be an emotional slab. She understood why I'd been distant and getting home late, and now it makes more sense why she came around. She forgives me for all of that. I told her I would like to keep helping them and that we have more than enough money to do so until we can either get a payout, sue, or pursue all of the above for them. I would also like her and the kid to be around more, as she understands how close I was with them and how I see them as my sister and niece at this point. She was close with the girlfriend years ago too when we were younger. She agreed to all of that with the condition that I drop down to 4 12-hour shifts a week. She said that if we can afford to help them, I can also afford to take more time off to explore therapy and spend more time with our family. She had been wanting to talk to me about this for a little while, and this was the condition she wanted because she did feel like it was a bit of a betrayal. I could tell she was leveraging the situation a bit when she said, "We aren't supposed to have those kinds of secrets." I just pulled her close and told her I can do that, and we hugged and I gave her a kiss. We laid on the couch for a bit, just talking, and I definitely felt better putting it behind us. So now I'll be working Tuesday through Friday starting next week. I'm looking into both a grief and communications therapist since she wants me to work on communicating better. She said she'll want to attend every once in a while too to see how it's going. She also asked me to keep an open mind about moving to a different part of the company for safety reasons down the road. I know some requested a little update, and now that everything is settled, I figured I'd share. Despite some of the awful people who were replying and accusing me of infidelity, there were a good number of people who were trying to be helpful, and I appreciate that. You take the good with the bad, and with that, I hope this maybe helps others. Thanks, guys and girls. User Got My Silly Socks On said, the child should apply for Social Security survivor benefits, and she should be the beneficiary of a workers' compensation lawsuit against the employer. Consult a lawyer for free. Getting a life insurance policy for yourself doesn't sound like a bad idea. To this, OP said, "We'll be doing very soon. Right now, I took personal days to be with my girls, so I'm gonna focus on that." User First Lengthiness said, "It seems like you have a pretty good relationship with your family, despite the issues outlined. Well done for opening up and being honest. It is hard for some of us guys to do that, as we are supposed to be the tough guys and protect our families from the crap in the outside world. I get that wrong with my wife sometimes too. It is nice that you are helping your friend's partner and child, but in the long term, they need financial independence. You will not be able to help them forever, but I think you know this. Chin up and move on. It seems like you have learned from this." User Wolverine said, "Don't put your family into debt for your friend's family, his girlfriend, or child. They will get help from her family, his family, and the government. Make sure that for every penny you give them, you put the same amount into your family's savings. Also, don't spend time alone with his girlfriend and daughter. Grief can cause people to lose their boundaries as they bond. Either visit her with your wife or get your wife to do the visiting. You need to fund your own counseling and maybe look for a less dangerous job. Don't stay in the dangerous role just because you feel you have to support your friend's family, because you don't. You have your own family to worry about." Under this, OP said, "Fair. I told her I'd explore a new role in the company since I have most of the credentials for them now, something less physically daunting like project manager." This next post was made in the AITAH subreddit by a user named Every Reindeer. The post is titled AITAH for forcing my family to babysit so I won't have to. I'm 19F, living at home, working a part-time job, doing some freelance work, and taking online courses in preparation for attending college next year. My sister 25F had her first child 8 months ago. The father isn't involved and only pays child support. My mom is excited to have her first grandchild and is constantly offering to look after the baby so my sister can feel at ease working full time and afterwards have some time for herself to relax. The thing is, about 70% of the time I'll be the one looking after the baby. While I admit that I enjoy it and like spending time with him, I can't help but feel mad because they don't have any consideration for my time. Mom would drop the baby while I'm in the middle of my lessons saying, "You can always watch the recordings later," or "Just ask someone to tell you what it was about." Or when I'm working on my freelance projects, she'll say, "Looking after the baby doesn't really require much," when I complain about getting delayed. My breaking point happened last week when my mother and sister left the baby with me for a whole day because I mistakenly told them I didn't have to work and would be staying home to catch up on some pending tasks and study. I told them both they were irresponsible and they called me a spoiled brat. That night, my grandma and other extended family members were calling and sending messages about the importance of helping family and to understand that my sister doesn't have it easy being a single mom. I got mad and sent a message to the family group chat saying that they were right. Helping family is important, and we all should be supportive of my sister. I then proceeded to write a schedule in which all of us could take care of the baby. Because one aunt goes to visit grandma on Mondays and Wednesday mornings, they could babysit those days. The eldest cousin and her siblings are at their home on Friday afternoons, so they can babysit during that time, and so on. I left Saturday mornings and Tuesday evenings as my time to babysit. My sister and my mom were very pleased with the arrangement. The other family, not so much. And when someone pointed out that my sister didn't get the baby for a whole day, discussions about my sister being an irresponsible mother started, with my mother trying to defend her. Am I the AH for causing this? How come they were expecting me to be my sister's unpaid nanny, but then they get offended when the same thing is being forced on them? Update. A lot of things happened. Honestly, I am still not in the mood to provide a full update. The main points are, my sister did try to impose the babysitting schedule I made and the family wasn't happy. Mom, sis, and I had a big discussion, hurtful things were said on both ends, and I'm currently staying with my BFF and his girlfriend. The family is complaining non-stop, and I'm feeling guilty because technically I'm the one who caused this by creating the schedule in the first place. Maybe I should have just sucked it up, and I do really feel sorry for my nephew. All the family usually gets together on Sundays, and this time my grandma's eldest daughter is coming from another state. This is kind of a big deal since she's grandma's golden child and somewhat the leader of the family. I'm both hopeful and nervous. If anyone can solve this situation, it's her. But at the same time, I'm worried about her blaming me like everyone else. I'll provide a full update then. Also, sorry for not having the time to answer all the comments. Like I said, a lot of things happened, but here are some answers to questions some people asked. My relationship with mom and sis. It was pretty good before my sister got pregnant. We always knew that she was more favored by our mom because they had more common interests, while it was the same case for me and my dad. This wasn't necessarily a bad thing. Think of it more like this. If one of us wanted to visit a friend or ask for a specific favor, we knew which parent to ask. We would actually team up sometimes to convince them of something, me appealing to dad and sis appealing to mom. Sadly, Dad passed away 5 years ago. He was an amazing father and we were absolutely heartbroken. But one good thing that came out of it was that it helped us bond. Dad loved classical music and was really into IT and programming. I would go to concerts with him and he got me into gaming. After his passing, Mom began to buy tickets to classical concerts and the three of us would go together as a way to remember him. We also went to watch the Super Mario movie because my dad would have loved to be there, so things going this badly makes me pretty sad. My job, I work part-time at a kids after-school academy. We tutor them in subjects they find difficult and help them with their homework and test preparation. My freelance job is video or audio editing for my BFF and his girlfriend. Both are streamers and content creators. I do 1 weekly video for her and 1 or 2 for him. Do I pay rent? No, I don't. Dad had a hard time with his family, and while my sister and I didn't know the details and are no contact with them, we can kind of imagine what went down. Dad left the house to Mom and made her promise to make it a safe place for us. They decided to exempt us from paying rent as long as we cover our own expenses. Sister and I cover our groceries, cell phones, some services, and I pay part of their gas whenever they give me a ride because I don't have a car. Extended family. As I said, we are no contact with Dad's family. Mom is the third of 4 siblings, eldest aunt, eldest uncle, and young uncle. Grandma is currently 77 years old, my nephew's dad. He and my sister were together for about 2 years. When she found out she was pregnant and wished to keep the baby, the relationship ended as he is child-free. A paternity test was conducted after my nephew was born, confirming he was the father. He pays child support and has no contact with the baby. His parents do keep in touch, and by what I was told, they, along with the rest of their family, didn't approve of his actions regarding my sister and nephew. So far, they don't know what's going on, and I didn't involve them in the initial babysitting schedule because I'm sure that would have been another whole mess. User Tarzan Kitty said, NTA, you aren't a spoiled brat. Your sister is a spoiled brat. She chose to bring a child into this world thinking other people would parent him for her. The only person responsible for this baby is your sister. To this, OP said, I blame that on our mom. When my sister told us she was pregnant and that the father wouldn't be involved, our mother assured her that if she kept the baby, she would help her whenever she needed as she's already retired and, like I said, was excited to have her first grandchild. User The World is on Fire said, I personally love how you dealt with the flying monkeys. So many posts on here are all, my whole family is blowing up my phone telling me I should do XYZ for so-and-so, and they seem to just take the abuse. No one ever seems to put the issue back on the complainers. You think family should help out with childcare? Great. You take Monday, you take Tuesday, etc. Cue the shocked Pikachu faces of those who thought they could gang up on you with no consequences. The added bonus of what you did is that the family gets to see how poorly your sister is parenting. Well done, NTA. Now, anyone who takes issue with your schedule can be confidently told that if they don't want to pitch in, they have 0 grounds to criticize you for not wanting to be a full-time nanny for your sister, who should be raising her own damn kid and stop taking advantage of you. User Kona369 said, NTA, it's nice to help out every now and then when you can, but you have a life too. Your family shouldn't expect you to babysit and just be fine with it when you clearly have a busy schedule. Now that they have a taste of their own medicine, all of a sudden it's a problem. A few days later, OP provided an update. A lot of things happened and I'm finally in the mood to write the update, so here it goes. My sister did follow my babysitting schedule that involved our extended family and, well, they weren't happy. 2 days after my post, she left my nephew with one of our aunts. She was meeting some friends for brunch and had to take the baby with her. The baby was fussy and crying and she had to come home early. The aunt was understandably pissed off. I had agreed to babysit the next day and that's when things began going downhill. My nephew is used to being with me, but this time he was very fussy and coughing and I thought something was odd. Mom wasn't home and I tried to call her, but she didn't answer until about 2 hours later. When she came home, she checked my nephew and found he had a light fever. Of course, we called my sister and she blamed our aunt for taking the baby out. She accused our aunt in the family chat and a whole discussion blew up. Suddenly, my mom and sister remembered I was the one who involved the whole family in the babysitting schedule, and then I was the one at fault. That was my breaking point. I ended up yelling at my sister that she was negligent and a part-time mother to my nephew. Not my proudest moment, and I immediately regretted it, not gonna lie. My mother countered that if my dad were here, he would have been very disappointed in me. That killed me because I was really close to him and he always put family above all else. Still, I was mad, so I said that I expected my sister to reimburse me the amount I took out from my college fund in full. Not my proudest moment, and I immediately regretted it, not gonna lie. Some info: when my sister and I were born, Dad and Mom set up a college fund for each of us. Dad always encouraged us to study and improve ourselves. And when my nephew was born, I took $5,000 from my fund to start one for him to honor my dad, as I'm sure he would have done the same. After that, I packed a bag and took an Uber to my boyfriend's apartment. I told him what happened, and he and his girlfriend invited me to stay with them as long as I needed. I blocked my mother, sister, and the rest of the family and spent the following days both avoiding them and worrying about my nephew. Last Friday, I received a call from an unknown number. It was one of my eldest aunt's daughters. She and her family live in another state, so they mostly followed the drama from afar. My cousin told me they were coming to visit and that my aunt was going to have a serious chat with all of us. Not gonna lie, I was really nervous. I think I mentioned this in my previous post. My mom is the third of 4 siblings. We'll call them Rose, Mario, my mom, and John. There's also Jane, Mario's widow, and the aunt that I mentioned in this post who took out the baby. Rose is pretty much my grandma's golden child, the second mother to her siblings, and an overall very strong woman. She and her husband have 5 children. Due to the complicated logistics, hearing that they were suddenly coming over was a very big deal. Sunday came. My boyfriend and his girlfriend accompanied me to Grandma's house for moral support. Rose and her family were already there, and I spent most of the time avoiding my mom and sister. After some hours, Rose finally addressed the elephant in the room. It was a long, emotional discussion, and we all ended up crying, so I'll sum up the main points. Baby nephew is a human being, not a stray puppy to be passed around. He needs some stability. Stop with the "if you could afford to or wish to have a child, why did you have it" comments. Nephew is here and he's not going anywhere. Let's focus on solutions. To my sister, as a mother, you need to learn to put your child first. While it's okay to rely on help sometimes, don't do it all the time. It's bad for the baby and the others involved. To my mother, stop enabling her. To the rest of the family, unless you're willing to offer some solutions, don't meddle in other people's affairs. To me, about the babysitting schedule, well done, kiddo. My sister then admitted that while she loves my nephew, she felt unfit to be a mother and wasn't fully conscious of the responsibility it would take to raise him. Apparently, my mother was aware of that, and her response was to make me babysit my nephew to make my sister feel less stressed out, and yes, to make me hopefully change my mind about having kids in the future. Rose then said that, worst case scenario, she and my cousins talked and either her eldest son and daughter were willing to adopt my nephew. Apparently, both discussed it with their respective spouses and all were on board if it came to that. To be honest, while it's good that my nephew would be in a loving and safe home, it would hurt not seeing him as often anymore. Rose emphasized to my sister to think carefully and that if it came to that, it would be a permanent adoption, not a daycare service where she could dump him for days or weeks and then pick him up later. That's mainly it. My sister will be seeing a therapist next week and Mom and I have apologized. Also, some members of the extended family apologized for pressuring me to babysit in the first place. I'm back at my house and have agreed to babysit 3 times a week, all according to my personal schedule and for a reasonable period of time. During one of those 3 times, my sister will be joining me as she admitted she felt she didn't really know my nephew and hadn't bonded with him. Since the baby is somewhat attached to me, the 3 of us will be spending some time together. Overall, I think it was a good resolution, but time will tell. I really hope my sister will improve and be the mom my nephew deserves. Thank you all for the support and the comments. Whenever I felt that what I did was wrong, your comments really helped lessen the guilt. Hopefully, this will be my last update. So, thank you all. User Soggy Milk said, Rose is the best and she's right. Good job, kiddo. You're the most mature and responsible family member, even with the things you regret saying. I hope your sister is truly committed to bonding with your nephew, and I hope therapy helps her. Keep standing up for yourself and your nephew. User Padam said, Aunt Rose saw your implemented scheduling idea as a solution. It was scary to stand up to family, yet for your peace of mind, you did it. I'm happy for you too, and I honestly don't know if I would have your same will if I had to find it for my hypothetical family drama. I'm also glad you and your mom were able to reconcile. I hope your sister will commit to a decision that is best for her son. I almost said, poor kid, his mother doesn't want him, but really, he is loved by your family. It's unfortunate that we can't say the same for other babies and children as well. While he may be given up for adoption, he is loved and will be fine, and that makes this outsider happy for him. I'm such a fan of your Aunt Rose. User Badgering Magpie said, people are so insistent on pushing the family helps family raise children narrative until you ask them when it will be their turn. Turns out they don't want to help either, and so many parents seem all too eager to play hot potato with their own kids. Usually it's the ones who were somehow surprised by the fact that raising kids isn't all magical sunshine and rainbows. It's honestly baffling to me that anyone could be surprised by this in the age of the internet. Good on Rose for putting everyone in their place.